Have you ever met someone so special that they literally turn your life around? That person for me is my boyfriend Brad. Now before I tell you how much Brad has changed my life, you need a bit of background on me. Growing up, I never thought of myself as an attractive person. I always had cousins that I thought were prettier, and the girls at school were always skinnier and prettier than I was. I was that girl who always had a lot of guy friends, but never a boyfriend. I felt like no one would ever want to actually date me. Ex number one and I started dating the summer before my junior year of high school. I started skipping classes to hang out with him, and my grades really started to fall. And that was saying something since I was not an A student to begin with. Now, ex number one didn't have a real job. Instead, he sold weed. So I started going with him to see people and started smoking a lot. He would have pounds at a time and was growing some of his own as well, so it was always around. This went on for a while, then after about 2 years, he got busted and went to jail. It was only for a month, but I hid it from my family and said he went on vacation. He got out, and I stayed with him even though he still didn't have a job. I started paying for everything. I only had a part-time job, but all my money would go towards him. Now to clarify, it's not as if he was begging me for money. I've always been the person to put others before myself, even if they meant blowing all my money. Almost 3 years had gone by since we started dating, and things were only getting worse. He started being extremely mean to me in front of people. No matter what I would say, he would tell me to shut up or that I was dumb and I didn't know what I was talking about. It got so bad that I stopped talking when I was with him. His friends started to notice and said something to him about it, but he didn't seem to care. Finally, I had enough and I broke up with him. It didn't take long after that until I was in another relationship. I started dating ex number 2, who was a friend of ex number 1. Ex number 2 was what most would call a bad boy or an asshole. He was a person that would be a dick to you just because he thought it was cool. But he was a little different when we were alone. He had 2 kids from another woman, and I would watch the kids when he would go bounce at some of the bars in town. He would be out late, and I figured he was cheating, but I never said anything because I still had the mindset that no one else would want me. I started to fall away from my family since ex number 2 didn't like to hang out with them, and naturally, I put him over everyone. He wrecked my car and laughed it off because that's just who he is. I put up with him being an ass to me in front of people because he shouldn't change because of me, right? He started lying about things just to make us fight. And finally, I had had enough, which is good because shortly after we broke up, he got in an accident on his motorcycle and killed the girl he was with. He had fled the scene and didn't call the cops and ran for a few days. I used to ride with him all the time and never knew the danger I could have been in. After we broke up, I told myself I would be single for a while, but that didn't last long. I met ex number 3 when I was working at a metal press factory. At this point, I had zero confidence in myself. I didn't think I could do any better than factory work, and the second he showed an interest in me, I was flattered. I should have known from the beginning that this was a bad idea. He was having issues paying for his rent, so me being the smart person I am, said it would be better to borrow it from me than to take out a cash advance. During this time, my mom and I were not having a great time at home. She could see the path I was on and was trying to stop it. But I was stubborn and didn't want to listen. Since I wanted to leave my house and ex number 3 needed money, I thought, let's kill 2 birds and I will move in with him. So we did. It was great for about a month. I lost my job at the metal press factory and got another job through the temp service we were working for. About a month after that, he lost his job. I didn't pressure him into getting another one right away because I thought, he's a vet, he went to Iraq, he did so much, why not let him have a break? And again, like with ex number 1, all my money went towards him. I still didn't see the problem with this. In my head, he loved me, so it was all worth it. I went on to find out that he was actually still married. Long story short, his wife cheated on him while he was in Iraq, and he never talked to her again. So even though they hadn't spoken for years, they were still married. This should have been another red flag, but I told myself that nothing was wrong and it was okay. We would spend all of our money on Adderall and alcohol, which is a great combination. I had to take out payday loans just to pay for rent. My mom knew what the money was going for, so the only way she would help me was if I actually went to dinner with her, or she would take me shopping for household supplies. I completely lost touch with my best friend, and I missed a year of her son's life, who's like a nephew to me. I would miss family get-togethers and almost completely stop talking to my family as well. Through all of this, I never saw a problem. Since I could not get the money from my mom anymore, I realized that ex number 3 would need to get another job. I set up 2 different jobs for him. All he would have to do was fill out the applications, but each time he would make some excuse. I got fed up and decided that maybe if I left for a little while, he would get back on his feet. I tried to explain this to him, and he lost it. We got in a huge fight. He smashed the TV, slammed me in a door. I knocked out his tooth, only after he tried to break my Xbox, and he tried to barricade my things in the room so I couldn't leave. After that happened, I moved out for good. My best friend helped me get out of there, and I promised myself to be by myself for a while. Then I started working at Cree, which is where I met my boyfriend Brad. Brad was the first person to talk to me at Cree. You know those awkward first days in a job when you really don't know anybody? Well, he came right over and started talking. He would do this with everyone, though. He is sincerely the nicest person I've ever met. Even though Brad was such a nice person and an overall better person than anyone I had ever been with, I knew I needed some time to be single, to get my life together. Even though I didn't want a relationship, we became great friends. We would hang out, go to the casino, go out for drinks after work, and he got me going back to the gym. He even got me to a Wisconsin Badger game where he started a whole other love in my life. After 2 years, we'd become really good friends, and we finally started dating. Since I met Brad, he was always telling me how I was better than I gave myself credit for. This was the first time a guy I was with ever encouraged me. He was always telling me that I was smarter than I thought and I could do so much more than powder coating at Cree. He was the one who actually convinced me to go back to school. For the first time in almost 7 years, I started to have confidence in myself again. He has supported me throughout school and continued to encourage me and be there with me every step of the way. I've had a few times where I wanted to give up, but he was always there to get me back up and help me get back on track. My family and friends can tell how much he has changed me. I've had several of them tell me that they have never seen me this happy, and it's true. I honestly never knew I could be this happy with a person. Even though he's a Vikings fan and I'm a Packer fan, we still fit so well together and have fun all the time. Whether we're playing video games together, watching or going to football games, going to trivia, or just relaxing and watching movies, we are always having fun. We have gone to the Dominican Republic, and we try to go on some sort of vacation every year. For the first time in my life, the man I am with puts me first. Not that we don't do things together, and I still try to treat him when I can, but it's not a one-way street with him. We do things for each other, and we love it. He loves my family as much as I love his, and we love doing things with them. Looking back on my choices before I met Brad, I can't believe the person I was. I was making horrible decisions and never had any confidence in myself. I can't imagine what my life would be like now if I hadn't met Brad. We have so much fun together no matter what we are doing. We have been together for almost 4 years now, and I honestly don't know where I would be without him. We talk about the future and talk about what video games we're going to name our children after. We have talked about getting married, and all we know is that it's definitely not going to be during football season. I can be 100% honest with him, and we tell each other literally everything. He is the best person I know, and I am so lucky to get to spend my life with him.